I agree with Jeff when he says that the tests aren't going away. You know, when you say you're running for school board, people say, how do you feel about the standardized tests? And they go, well, you know, it doesn't matter because they're not going to go away. I also agree with Dan when you know, to get 100% of students to pass that test is probably an impossibility. Dr. Whitwer said at the October 8th board meeting that one of the strategies for the 2007-2008 year is to get an excellent rating, to go from effective to excellent, by attaining 10% gains in reading and math for students with disabilities, for African American students, and economically disadvantaged students. How we're going to achieve this, he didn't say as far as the action steps, but that's what's needed to get us to an excellent rating. I do think we need to motivate our students to at least want to pass the test. My husband, with 25 years of teaching experience, calls No Child Left Behind, No Child Left, because that's basically how he feels about it. But I think we need to get the parents participating. One of the research projects I participated in graduate school showed a correlation between parent participation and how successful the student was. And you would think that would be a given, a no-brainer, but we actually had to prove it. And it does work. So we need to get more parents participating. I think, and I see it as a parent, you get a lot of participation at the elementary school, but by the time the kids get into high school, I think that participation has dwindled. I do know, again, that benchmarking, thrifting, those kinds of things do tend to work. I think if we haven't already, we should visit a school system that has accomplished this, or has accomplished as close as we can to this, and not reinvent the wheel. And again, we need to trust our teachers. They're the ones that are in the front lines. They're the ones teaching students, and trust their guidance to get these tests.
I guess I don't agree again. First of all, I think it's our fault if it doesn't go away. If our legislature, which is made up of a majority of attorneys rather than educators, are going to make the rules for us, shame on us. It's time, I think, for the schools to stand up and let people know that this is an educational facility. We're here. See, being an old history teacher, all I can think of, I heard the young man on the end talk about some students being here. I don't look at it that way. I think we have a great country here, and we have great educational possibilities. I'm not interested in what they're doing someplace else in the other part of the world, because they're not doing it the way we're doing it. They're not educating everybody. Our philosophy from day one was to educate the masses, and I still believe in that. And because I believe in that, I don't think standardized testing is doing what they think it's doing. That's why I talked about the kindergarten, all-day kindergarten, smaller classes at the lower level. They were talking about smaller classes 40 years ago when I was here at this high school. And they're still talking about smaller classes, but they don't have them in the right place. I'm saying you have to have the smaller classes down at the lower level. You have to build that foundation. And that means you're going to have higher teachers to do it. It's going to take more teachers to have the smaller classes down below. And that takes money. And by the way, it's a bond issue that didn't pass, not a levy. It was for buildings. It was not for any, you know, we had money. You realize we have 3 levies right now. One of them is permanent. And we got another one coming up for renewal. Money-wise, Findlay has always backed their school system. It's been very, very seldom that they have not voted. So when they don't vote for them, there's a reason. Stop and think about it. You have to explain to the people, you have to communicate with the people, and there's no better sounding board than our teaching staff. And sometimes I think our teaching staff is not doing their job by communicating with the community as to what we need to have the kind of school system the people of Findlay would like to have. And remember this, it's changed. It's changed considerably. This is not the Findlay we moved into in 1960. It is not the population. You look at the population in 1960 and look at the population today, and you wonder, why is the school half the size it was? Because the population in the school system, as far as feeding the school, hasn't changed. But you have an older group now, and your younger group, it's a different group of people than you had back then. And those people have to be educated too, because eventually they're going to become taxpayers.
What can be done to ensure success in standardized tests for all students? It's those last three words that become really difficult to me. And I think you've heard some things that are being done to ensure success, the intervention strategies, the opportunities that students have to repeat the test. But I guess I'd like to turn the tables a little bit in answering this and say that I wish there were a standardized test for every system so that every student comes out of it graduating with known achievement results and known skills that each student individually knows that they have, so that the standard that is met is a standard for that child. I don't know how to explain that, it's in my brain. But as long as we are a collective society, I think we will have standardized tests, because we like to compare success here with success over here and see who has the most success. But we have plenty of students who are having the least success, and those are the ones I guess I have real compassion for, because many of them leave school without knowing that they have any kind of a gift or any kind of achievement or any kind of skill. And that concerns me as much as all students passing the standardized test, even though I know that governments tell us we have to do that.
If I may, a little dose of sarcasm. I'm not a big fan of standardized testing. I think that the crux here is not standardized testing, it's local control versus federal control. And as we all are aware with highway money, you either lower that drinking age or we're going to snip Ohio for $40 million a year on construction projects. That's how Washington works, unfortunately. As Jeff mentioned, it's here to stay. For the sarcasm, as Ann can attest, as every young law student graduates, there's that big test in a few months away, and there's a company called Barbary that gives you, I don't know, the last 8 or 10 years worth of tests and multiple choice answers. They hand it to you and they cram it down your throat, and it's rote memorization. So by the time you hit the bar, it doesn't matter what the question is, you have the same answer. Now let's end the sarcasm. Truly, I believe we have to have a solid relationship with the teachers, high-quality teachers, trained teachers, continuing education and opportunities for the teachers. And we have to come up with a solid foundation. And then those that are falling behind a little bit, we need to intervene with. And as Jeff mentioned, we have to come up with a program to identify those children and to, for the testing, preparatory testing. Maybe it's an issue that they're a little nervous about the test. Help them overcome those fears, or maybe it's a particular academic area. Work with them on those. I'm happy to grab parent, teacher, or parent volunteers or peer student peer counseling and peer assistance to help these kids in any way they can to get that last few percentage to get up and over that hurdle. Again, I'm not a fan of standardized testing, but it's here.
Okay, sticking on the same line here a little bit, what are your feelings about academic tracking? It's part of the issue, I think, with the all students with the testing because of the different levels. Jeff, let's start. Is there